all of the problems that you're currently facing are in one of 5 areas: money, relationships, health, faith, or purpose. You may be rich in one of these 5 areas, but you'll never be wealthy until you're rich in all 5. We like to sum up this whole concept with one question: what's the point of money if you don't have your health to enjoy it or anyone to enjoy it with? And what's the point of anything if you ultimately have no purpose and nothing happens after you die? You're in the right place if you desire to live a fulfilling, purposeful life and go from rich to wealthy. And Rich designed a coaching method that he successfully uses to coach millionaires, actors, athletes, doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, and high achievers to help them go from rich to wealthy. And I am one of his clients, and I run businesses that generate multi-7 figures per year and employ about 18 people to date. And we wanted to create a podcast to bring this coaching method to you for free. So every time you watch an episode, you're getting this exact same coaching for free. So let's go from rich to wealthy. On today's coaching session, we're coaching through purpose. And a lot of folks are going through life and actually achieving some success and just wondering, what's the point of all of it? And I've been there. I actually have several friends. I'd probably say some of my examples lean towards a little bit of the money side where it's like, hey, I'm making some money, starting to get some financial success, but I am not feeling like I thought it would make me feel. You hear stories about that all the time. People get successful and maybe they achieved something in professional, like a professional athlete achieved some new height, and they're not feeling like they thought they were going to feel, like the purpose is missing from it. So how would you coach me or someone in that boat through finding out what their purpose actually is and adding that meaningfulness to what they're doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And purpose is fluid. That's the first thing that I walk all of my clients through. It's fluid. And what I mean by that is your purpose will change from time to time. So there are people that maybe are very, very young. They're just entering the workforce. And their purpose is to find a job and to begin to create income.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then they'll move along and they'll say, I'm making a lot of income, but I'm doing this alone, and I feel like I would like to have somebody to do this with. And so relationships, and it can go on and on into kids.
Right.
It can go on and on into a transition in what they do in their career. It can go on and on into retirement. So whenever I'm coaching people, purpose is always an issue.
So sorry about that. But yeah, that's true. The question is so it's not just one time. It's not just a one-time purpose.
No,
you just don't have a purpose.
Right. It's fluid. However, at that point, I also want to say that there are some things that are very internal and very integral to who you are in discovering your purpose. Quick example of that is when I was growing up, I always wanted to be in the athletic profession. I wanted to play professional sports.
Yeah.
Didn't make it that far, okay? But I also toyed around with coaching. And
like sports coaching?
Sports coaching.
I was going to say, you are a coach.
Yeah, sports coaching. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And had a great time with it. I went into another career, and I found myself at one point in that career, something was missing. And I received coaching and realized that the coaching passion inside of me had never left. So I moved into personal coaching and organizational consulting, and my purpose began to be fulfilled again because it was something that was very internal and integral in me from the very beginning. I enjoyed coaching. Coaching impacted my life. I mentioned that in our book. So your purpose oftentimes, even though it's fluid, it's also connected to something deep within you. It is something you have a passion for. It's something that wakes you up. It's something you've always dreamed of. It's something you've always wanted. And sometimes people put purpose aside because it's not practical.
Yep.
Or doesn't produce that certain amount of income. But if purpose is not being fulfilled in your life, there'll be a void.
Right.
That wheel of life will get bumpy. You will not be wealthy. You might be rich, but you won't be wealthy until purpose is starting to be fulfilled in your life.
When you walked me through that just now, it's a huge relief to find out that I don't have to know the full picture of my whole life. And I think that's where a lot of times stress comes into play. And with folks I talk to too, I'm sure you've experienced this as well. It's like you're trying to think of what's my end goal, purpose at the end of my life. But really, you're saying purpose it's fluid. Like when you're a teenager, your purpose is to learn how to drive, do well in school so you can move on to your next purpose and on to your next purpose, and all adds up to a major overall purpose. But focusing on one step at a time and enjoying each step and not feeling like you have to be not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but really just being in the present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And within 3 to 5 hours, I can help clients kind of identify what that purpose is in their life. And so because it's fluid, you should be identifying a purpose all the time.
Interesting.
It's not a destination.
Wow.
It's a journey.
Okay.
So whatever you're doing, wherever you're at, and I coach a lot of clients under the age of 30, entrepreneurs that are wanting to be millionaires and billionaires.
Yep.
And their purpose right now is going to change. But I say you got to have purpose.
Yep.
So even with the wealth that you have, even with whatever it is you're building for, what's the higher purpose? What gives you more meaning? Because the paycheck is great, but is that ultimately what you want, is just a paycheck? And most clients say, no. There's much more than I want. So you should always be trying to look for a purpose in the season that you're in. What can I do with what I have right now that's more than just a paycheck?
Interesting. Yeah, so its purpose is, as he said, I think that's the biggest key takeaway in this episode, in this coaching session, is that purpose is not a destination, because I think a lot of times people think when I get here, I'll be happy, and then they get there and they're not, because we're not made to end. We're made to go on. We're made to be eternal. We're made to live forever, and it's not just about what's happening when I reach my destination. It's about the trip. And oftentimes it's like, I think about this like when I go on vacation. I actually like the traveling a lot. And it's so funny how you're thinking about vacation, you're excited about going, you're getting packed, you travel, and then you arrive, and then you're sitting in the beach, and yeah, it's nice, but it's almost like everything else up to it was more fun. I feel like a lot of times people they have that. I'm sure somebody out there is like, yeah, I've experienced that, where you get to Disneyland, or you get to the hotel, or you get to the beach, or you get to wherever you're going, and you're like, it's fun, yes, but it's almost like the anticipation and the planning and the getting there. When you arrive at the destination, it's like, oh, and then you start thinking about, oh, now I better enjoy this as much as I can because it's going to be over soon, and then you start thinking about the next and the next and the next. And I think purpose is the same way. It's like you think of the business, right? You're dreaming of it. It's so fun as you're dreaming of that business, or going to school, or marrying that person. And then you get to it, and it's not that it's bad, but you arrived and you thought you were going to be fulfilled when you got there. But because it's a moving target, you were never supposed to stop. Now what's next? What's your next purpose?
That's a great story and a great illustration, Joey, of kind of the third principle that we walk through when it comes to purpose is you should be investing into your purpose right now.
Yep.
So I've had more than one person tell me, Coach, as soon as I make my first $1 million, I'm going to give to this organization, I'm going to give to that organization. And I'm like, no, start now.
Yep.
You don't have to give $100,000, but if you believe in something, if something matters to you, if it's purposeful in your life, give to it.
Yep.
invest into it. So you can actually begin to invest into your purpose. The first 10 clients that I took on, they were for free. I wanted to learn this profession so bad. I called up friends, neighbors, anybody who would listen to me, dogs, cats, mouse, and I said, hey, would you like to coach? And they were like, I don't know, what's coaching? And I said, well, you just talk to me for an hour on the phone and we figure out all of your problems.
Yep.
And they said, sure. How much
do
does it cost? I said, it's free for right now.
Nice.
And that was an investment into what I wanted to do because I found purpose in helping
Yep.
people get unstuck. So purpose is not a destination.
Yep.
It's a journey. And you should be discovering your purpose. Now, there is some ultimate purposes that we work with people that once I said it goes back. I've had clients in midlife change their occupation
Yeah.
because they were not fulfilled and they were only doing what they felt like their parents wanted them
Yep.
to do or society or culture wanted them to do. And they started to say, nope, that's not my purpose
Yep.
in life. This is my purpose in life.
When we're talking about discovering purpose, I want to talk through the practical
Yeah.
ways of determining it. The method that Rich uses to take people from rich to wealthy is called the 5 ideas method. And this method has the 5 key areas of life, which money, relationships, health, faith, and purpose. Today we're talking about purpose, but it also has 5 steps inside of the method. And this is how you actually start achieving results. And the first step is you have to identify your true problem. The second step is you have to determine your non-negotiable values. The third step is you have to set event-based goals. The fourth step is you have to develop fun and repeatable habits. And then the fifth step is you have to implement a system of accountability. And I believe that what we're talking about today with purpose, I think that we first have to focus a lot, like purpose is a lot in the non-negotiable value section of that, if I were to kind of break it down.
Oh, absolutely. And a quick story, I had a client who went through a midlife crisis, a really difficult problem, very successful financially, but in certain areas of his life just got blown up. We walked through this process, and the first non-negotiable value that we identified was his children. His children, he was not going to negotiate, which meant if he had to spend more time at home, if he had to give up more personal hobbies and things like that, because he was now a single parent, but his kids became his purpose.
Yep.
So for right now, at that time in his life, once he identified the non-negotiable, my kids are not on the altar of sacrifice, even though my life is in crisis, then it was easy for him to identify his purpose, and then we put a plan together around his purpose. Exactly what you're saying, Joey.
Yeah, so you've got to determine your non-negotiable values around what your purpose, and it's going to help you find your purpose. Because if you're saying some of my non-negotiable values are becoming financially rich, like making millions of dollars, that's a non-negotiable value for you. And you will be able to say, okay, my purpose needs to line up with that value. So what I'm doing has to line up with going towards that journey of becoming a millionaire or becoming a billionaire, or whatever your non-negotiable value is. If your non-negotiable value is being incredibly fit and eating a really healthy diet or becoming a bodybuilder or whatever, or even just being, just having energy from being fit, your purpose, the things that you're doing on purpose, are going to have to line up with that goal and line up with that journey.
And I would even say that if your purpose in life is to be physically fit and healthy, then your non-negotiable values will have to line up with that.
Yep.
So I can't negotiate a diet. I can't negotiate the workout.
Yep.
And then we will create event-based goals around that.
Yep.
We'll schedule workout times. We'll schedule meal planning. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
What you're
So
saying.
determining your purpose, finding out your purpose, it's going to really be based upon what it is that you value. That's going to get, if you're like, I have no idea how to figure out what my purpose is, it's built into you and it's what do you value. And then you have to intentionally, on purpose, move towards that purpose. And again, it's a moving target because once you get to it, now you're on to your next purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. You said something. I don't even think you know what you said. To identify your purpose, you have to be on purpose.
Yeah.
You're living life on purpose.
Intentionally.
And so many people are living life day to day without purpose and without knowing really where they want to go and what they want to do.
Yep.
And once you identify your passion, where you want to go, your non-negotiable values, then you can start to live on purpose.
Yep, absolutely. And we mentioned a couple of the 5. We talked about determining your non-negotiable values, and we're going to talk about each of those steps in each of the 5 key areas of life all throughout this podcast. Like we said, every time you come to this show, you're getting a free coaching session, and Rich also opens up a couple of slots every single month that he's accepting new coaching clients. He doesn't have an unlimited amount of slots, and it does take the right person to be able to coach with him actually one-on-one. But if you are interested in setting up and seeing if you could get a free 1-hour coaching consultation with him, there's also a link in the description to do that. However, you can just keep coming back to this podcast every single week. We bring it for you, to you, for free, so that you can have coaching sessions for free and start going from rich to wealthy. And we'll see you in the next episode.